Tonight on Reporting Scotland, a jury hears soil found in a van used by the man accused of murdering Emma Caldwell bore a 97% similarity to the woods where her body was found. The prosecution case against Ian Packer is coming to a close. He denies murdering Emma in woods in South Lanarkshire in 2005. A father and son involved in illegally selling peregrine falcons to the Middle East have been banned from keeping birds of prey. Also on tonight's programme, the clean-up continues after stormy weather battered Aberdeenshire. Flood warnings remain in force in Stonehaven tonight after large waves hit the town.
When I saw it earlier, I wasn't sure what it is, but now that you said, oh, it's a robot delivering food, it's very interesting, very intrigued.
The future of food delivery, the robots delivering snacks to students in a new test of autonomous vehicles.
And in sport, Dundee see cancers from the SFA following a head injury to one of their players. And Scotland's Josh Kerr makes history, beating Mo Farah's 2-mile indoor record.
Hello, I'm Laura McKeever. Welcome to Monday's programme. Now, it's almost 19 years since the body of Emma Caldwell was found in woodland in South Lanarkshire. Today, the prosecution case against the man accused of murdering her, Ian Packer, is drawing to a close. Jurors heard that soil found in a van used by Mr Packer bore a 97% similarity to the place where her body was found. Mr Packer denies all the charges and his defence case is due to begin at the High Court in Glasgow tomorrow, as our Home Affairs correspondent David Cowan reports.
On the 17th day of this trial, Emma Caldwell's mother returned to the court to hear the last witness for the prosecution. The evidence took the jury back to 2005 and the place where her daughter was found. Emma Caldwell was lying in a ditch a short distance from the road that runs through the middle of Limefield Woods in South Lanarkshire. Soil samples were taken from the start of her route from the road to the ditch, then from a molehill a few feet from her body. In the weeks that followed, another soil sample was taken from the footwell of a works van used by Ian Packer. In 2021, 16 years after the murder, a cold case investigation called in the head of soil forensics at the James Hutton Institute. Professor Lorna Dawson was asked to find out whether the soil from the van came from the spot where Emma was found. Professor Dawson told the jury that under one way of measuring the similarities between different soil samples, the best possible result you can get is a figure of 97%. She said when she looked at the soil from Ian Packer's van and the soil from the place where Emma Caldwell was found, the result was 97%. The trial has heard that in 2007, Ian Packer told police he had taken Emma Caldwell and other sex workers to a different part of Limefield Wood. Professor Dawson said she was shown that area by detectives, tested more samples and ruled out the possibility that the soil from the van had come from there. The defence said those results would be irrelevant if the police had shown her the wrong part of the woods. Professor Dawson responded, "I'm still of the opinion that it's more probable that the soil from the van came from the murder locus than any other area in Limefield Woods, that we sampled quite extensively." Ian Packer has denied murdering Margaret Caldwell's daughter and committing sex offences against 27 other women. The prosecution will close its case tomorrow. David Cowan, Reporting Scotland, Glasgow.
A father and son involved in the illegal sale of peregrine falcons have been banned from keeping birds of prey. Timothy Hall and his son Lewis, who are from the Borders, raided wild nests to breed the chicks. The birds were sold on to wealthy clients and used for racing in the Middle East. Stephen Gordon has the story.
Timothy Hall and son Lewis arriving at Jedburgh Sheriff Court this morning for sentencing. The pair had already admitted being involved in the illegal sale of peregrine falcons. A search of Timothy Hall's home revealed these chicks taken from protected wild nests in the Borders. Their aim? To continue a business that had already netted them more than £40,000 by selling the birds to wealthy clients in the Middle East, where falcon racing is big business.
A wild Scottish peregrine is the most valuable, most desirable, most sought after raptor by these people because it is an exocet, such a fastest organism on the planet.
SSPCA investigators say it was an elaborate scheme that involved monitoring nest sites using drones.
They had identified these birds in their nests. They were waiting until eggs had been laid and chicks were hatched, and then they were abseiling into the nest. Very specialist activity.
The Halls initially claimed they'd bred the chicks domestically, but DNA taken from adult peregrine falcons in the nests confirmed they were protected wild birds. Sentencing the two men, the sheriff told them that they were guilty of a crime that quite rightly attracts vilification in the eyes of the public. Timothy Hall was told that his involvement met the threshold for a custodial sentence, but instead he was given 220 hours of unpaid work and banned from keeping any birds of prey for 5 years. Mr. Hall, have you anything to say? Can I ask you a couple of questions? Lewis Hall was given the same 5-year ban as his father and was sentenced to 150 hours community service. Neither spoke as they left court, but the peregrine falcon chicks they stole have since been returned to the wild, boosting the numbers of this sought-after and threatened species. Stephen Gordon reporting Scotland, Jedburgh.
Flood warnings remain in place for parts of Aberdeenshire tonight after the area was hit with stormy weather in recent days. Residents in Stonehaven are continuing their clean-up after the high tides left debris strewn across the coastline amid a risk-to-life warning over the weekend. Louise Cowie has more.
These were the scenes in Stonehaven at the weekend. Stormy seas forced the closure of the waterfront with a warning there was a risk to life. Kat Flett was on holiday with her sons and staying in an apartment overlooking the sea.
It almost looked as though the benches would be submerged. And then we saw a bin floating past, didn't we? And I thought, oh, OK, this could get maybe a bit dangerous. But we were OK. It was more downstairs I was worried about. And the owners have a lot of debris and things to clear up now as well.
One of those owners is David Williamson.
On this occasion it was unique in that with high waves producing this stuff, but the temperature was quite mild and there was virtually no onshore wind. So this now makes it very, very difficult to forecast. Up until this time you can forecast very accurately whether there was going to be overtopping.
The clean-up operation got underway first thing. Council staff spent the day shovelling shale and rock which was left strewn along the seafront. Alan Turner is a local councillor and has lived here for the last 40 years.
To my knowledge here, no one has been flooded, no one has been injured. Right? That's in some respects the positives of this. And you take the learnings of each storm as to how can you improve things to move forward. So it's a step by step. At the end of the day, the sea is unpredictable.
There were concerns worse was to come. SEPA had issued a fresh warning for flooding for this afternoon.
It's high tide here just now, and while some waves have been crashing over the promenade, as you can see, conditions are way calmer than they were here over the course of the weekend.
The wild weather may have died down, but it will take some time for the carnage it's caused to be cleared. Louise Cowie, reporting Scotland, Stonehaven.
Police say they're continuing investigations after a 24-year-old woman was found dead following a disturbance at a house in Shetland. A 39-year-old man's been arrested in connection with the incident. Police say incidents like this are extremely rare in Shetland. Extra officers are being flown into the islands to help with the inquiry. John Johnson reports.
Cordoned off. This is a house at the centre of the investigation. Police were called to Sanus on the west side of Shetland just before 5:30 last night. They found a woman dead in the house here behind me. A man has been arrested in connection with the incident and was taken to hospital for treatment. Part of the main road through the village is still cordoned off, along with the road to the nearby Melby Pier.
In a close-knit community like Sanus and indeed the rest of Shetland, it is felt very keenly, and my thoughts are obviously very much with the family and loved ones of the deceased and those involved. I would also like to pay tribute to the emergency services personnel who attended the scene last night.
Last night, 2 officers wearing white forensic suits were carrying out a detailed examination of the scene. Less than half a mile away from the house, several police and Coast Guard vehicles were on the pier at Melby following reports of a car in the water. This morning, the Coast Guard helicopter was called out to survey the area. It's believed the car is still in the water. Police Scotland say they aren't looking for anyone else and their inquiries are continuing. John Johnston, reporting Scotland, Sanus in Shetland.
The UK Foreign Secretary says the Indian government needs to speed up the case of a Scottish man who's been detained in the country for more than 6 years without being convicted of a crime. Jagtar Singh Johal from Dumbarton was arrested in Punjab in 2017 and accused of terror offences. Katie Hunter has the story.
It's more than 6 years since this footage was filmed. Jagtar Singh Johal has been behind bars in India ever since, accused of terror offences, but not convicted. This morning, Jagtar's brother, who's a Labour councillor, and his MP met the Foreign Secretary Lord Cameron. They want the UK government to call for his release.
What he has said is that he will take on board everything that was said in today's meeting to reconsider matters, but I was expecting him to have answers as to why the UK government have failed to call for Jagtar's release.
David Cameron is the 6th Foreign Secretary since Jagtar Singh Johal was arrested in 2017.
I think the new Foreign Secretary does want to go away and reconsider elements of the case and how we can engage not only with him in his office but with the Indian government. But there was an underlying sense of déjà vu about the same types of questions.
In 2022, a UN panel of experts concluded Jagtar Singh Johal's detention lacked legal basis and he should be released. The current UK government has never publicly called for that. Today was no different.
What we're saying is that the Indian government has got to speed up this case. That's what we've said. We also want to keep the consular access that we've had. But what I've said to the family is I'm going to go back to my office, I'm going to go look at the paperwork all over again, I'm going to take into account what they've said and see whether there's a different approach we should be taking.
Jagtar Singh Johal was arrested in the weeks after his wedding in India. The authorities there say due process is being followed and it's for the courts to decide the next steps. Not the UK nor Indian governments. Katie Hunter, reporting Scotland.
A priest who was suspended a decade ago for writing a book claiming the Catholic Church was run by a powerful gay mafia says he's been bullied by church leaders. Father Matthew Despard, who was suspended in 2013, says he's been blocked from returning to church duties. The Catholic Church says it wants him to apologise for the hurt he's caused. Here's Gordon Blackstock.
This is the book that caused huge controversy in the Catholic Church in Scotland when it was published over a decade ago. The author behind the book, Priesthood in Crisis, was this man, Father Matthew Despard. In it, he claimed the church in Scotland was run by a powerful gay mafia. The explosive claims saw him suspended from his duties as a priest in Blantyre, South Lanarkshire. Now, a decade later, he's speaking out amid claims he's been blocked from returning to the job he loves.
Well, just recently I emailed Bishop Toll to ask him for a parish. It's been 10 years and time's enough, that's unjust. I'm still waiting here and I've no other avenue to go round except to appeal to the public.
Father Despard is still on the payroll of the Catholic Church, who also pay his rent. In 2016, a Vatican court ruled partially in his favour.
I went to Rome with the appeal and I had a trial in there and I came home and I fought and they asked for two things, for me to remove the book from all publishing, and I done that, and not to put it back out again. And I did that. I fulfilled the criteria which was given to me from Rome and I won my appeal, but Bishop Toll didn't accept that. He wants me to make a public apology, apologising for telling the truth.
A spokesperson for the Diocese of Motherwell said, Father Despard was asked to make a personal apology to those still living who are written about in his book and who remain hurt and offended by it. To date, these apologies have not been made. Any consideration on suitability for public ministry remains a matter for the Bishop. For now, Father Despard hopes his pleas might ensure return to active church duties, but fears there is only one way to resolve the stalemate.
He says that they're going to wait till you die, just put it to the side. That's what they do with people. They think you don't exist. It's cruel, and it's a sign of the bullying what they've been doing for years, because I've done everything possible.
That report by Gordon Blackstock. Now, imagine your food delivery arriving in one of these. Autonomous vehicles are predicted to become a bigger part of our lives, revolutionising how we travel, but also how things are moved around. But before that can happen, a lot of testing is needed. Our science and innovation correspondent Laura Goodwin's been finding out more about a trial in Edinburgh using robots to deliver takeaways.
There is a new kid on campus. Meet Pixie, an autonomous robot delivery vehicle. Using an app, students at Edinburgh University's King's buildings can order food and have it brought right to them. It's a project designed to increase trust in autonomous vehicles, born out of personal tragedy caused by human error.
Personally, I was deeply impacted by a car accident that took the lives of my aunt and her husband, leaving 3 kids without parents. So this accident drove my motivation toward autonomous driving generally. And then in 2016, I found a study published by the National Highway Transportation Safety. It shows that about 94 to 96% of all car accidents are caused by human error. So this emphasizes on the potential of autonomous driving to significantly improve the road safety.
Pixie is packed with sensors to navigate various different obstacles it might encounter. Dogs apparently aren't fans, but for the most part the reception among students has been warm.
We've seen it around, it's been kind of tested out a little bit, I think, so it's good to know that it's for food, it's not like surveying.
It comes in handy when you're, in like one of the buildings where there's not somewhere to get food, because most of them there are, or if it's like, actually, no, I want the food that's on the other side of campus and I don't have the energy to walk there. It's great.
I mean, yeah, when I saw it earlier, I wasn't sure what it is, but now that you said, oh, it's a robot delivering food, it's very interesting, very intrigued.
At the moment, the pilot is confined to the campus because legislating technology like this is complex.
So what we have really are trials at increasing levels of sophistication. Now they are on the street. In fact, more so in the US than here. There are deployments, people can go in them, but they're very much kind of ring-fenced and contained according to the safety cases that they put together for those trials. And according to restrictions that they're comfortable with.
But we're learning.
We are learning.
The team say this type of technology has further potential uses within airports and the NHS and could create high-quality jobs. But for now, Pixie will keep on trucking. Laura Goodwin, reporting Scotland.
OK, let's get to night sport now with Amy Irons. And Amy, another worrying incident on the pitch yesterday.
There certainly was. That's where we're going to start, Laura. Thanks very much. Good evening. Dundee manager Tony Docherty believes the challenge on his player Michael Mellon was life-endangering as he criticised referee David Monroe for allowing play to continue after the incident. Dundee came from a goal down to win 2-1 against St Johnstone in the only Premiership match of the weekend. But the clash of heads late in the game left the Dens Park boss worried about the welfare of 20-year-old Mellon, and he was angry with officials.
For a referee to allow that to continue, I have to give great credit to my club doctor, Derek McCormack, who, with all the years' experience he's got, he recognised what was wrong there and he ran on the pitch because the referee allowed play to go on. And I think that was life-endangering, that challenge. I really do. And for nothing to be done about it, and I've now got a kid there, brilliant boy, Michael, who's in an ambulance his way up to the hospital. I think the referee has to answer questions there.
In a statement released this morning, Dundee updated supporters saying Mellon was seen to at hospital and discharged with appropriate head injury advice. The club added that it's writing to the Scottish FA in the strongest terms to express its serious concerns that play was not stopped to allow immediate attention to Michael after what was clearly a dreadful head clash. The SFA says it will reply to Dundee directly but does not plan on making any further statement on the matter. Ross County interim manager Don Cowie believes negative comments made by former boss Derek Adams about the quality of Scottish football hit a nerve with the players. Adams resigned after just 12 games in charge, ending with a 5-0 defeat against Motherwell last week. Cowie will lead the team against Rangers and says the club are not actively looking for a new manager.
I know the players really well. Obviously, the comments that were made hit a nerve. But it's now up to the players to respond to that. Derek, made the comments that he made. On the other hand, Derek has done so much for this football club. He's been part of a lot of the success that's been here. Got an awful lot of respect for him, and I'm sure for him looking back, it's comments that he would maybe change if he could. But now it's about us looking forward, and it's up to me to make sure the players are ready for that.
Scottish runner Josh Kerr broke Mo Farah's world 2-mile indoor record as he stormed his way to glory at the Melrose Games in New York. The world 1500 metre gold medalist clocked a time of 8 minutes and 0.67 seconds to beat Farah's mark set in 2015. Fellow Scot Laura Muir set a new British indoor record as she won the women's 2-mile race after Ethiopia's Medina Isa was disqualified. And it could be a moment and a decision that defines Scotland's Six Nations campaign. And one thing's for sure, it's hard to argue with Rory Dargie's assessment that Saturday's defeat to France was a roller coaster. In the final seconds of the match, Gregor Townsend and his players thought the ball had been forced over the line to snatch a victory. The on-field referee didn't believe the ball had been grounded, and the TMO couldn't provide conclusive evidence to prove his decision was wrong. It left Darge and his teammates gutted, as well as all the Scotland fans watching on.
I heard him say not on-field decision, no try, so initially you're gutted, and then he's gone to have a look at it, and then you see a couple of angles and you start getting a bit excited. But I was trying to keep that sort of down because I was like, he still might not give this, so yeah, it was a roller coaster. But I'm not had an ending like that in a game where it takes so long, and it's just, but it is what it is. It's obviously hard for him to see. So.
Well, BBC Scotland's chief sports writer Tom English was at Murrayfield for the game and says it's a decision Gregor Townsend and his squad should use as motivation ahead of facing England in 2 weeks.
They felt huge injustice after week one. In Cardiff, even though they won that game, they felt they got very badly treated by the referee in week one, and they were very angry about that. This is even worse again in week two. So I think everyone needs to take a breather now and get over it. I would hope that they would just use it as fuel ahead of the Calcutta Cup game at Murrayfield, that they were robbed. Everyone around World Rugby says that was a try. So everyone is on Scotland's side here, apart from the two people that matter, the TMO and the referee.
And Laura, you can believe that Tom and I spoke in a lot more detail, and you can see that in full on the 9, because we're not ready to let it go yet.
No, we're not recovered, RV. Absolutely. Well, let's go over now to Sarah and Graham to find out what is happening at 9 on BBC Scotland.
Tonight, as Israel's urged not to step up its offensive in Rafah, we'll be speaking to the UN's humanitarian coordinator for Gaza to find out about the worsening situation there.
A leading criminologist will tell us more on how Scottish peregrine falcons are being sold illegally for thousands of pounds for racing in the Middle East.
And we'll be hearing about 2 new drugs aimed at slowing the onset of Alzheimer's and how it could pave the way for future treatments of the disease.
See you at 9 o'clock.
Now, for the past 4 decades, the Isle of Skye has been developing a reputation as a Jurassic island due to the large number of prehistoric finds there. There's been everything from a dinosaur disco made up of dozens of footprints to the fossils of winged reptiles called pterosaurs. And as Ailey Davis reports, Skye continues to be a source of discovery today.
Back in 1982, the first ever dinosaur fossil was discovered on Skye, and this year marks the 40th anniversary since the first paper on the find was published.
We're all aware of the draw that Skye has when it comes to scenery and all it has to offer visitors, but many people may not be aware that it also has a rich prehistoric past where huge creatures like dinosaurs used to roam more than 170 million years ago.
The first footprint was found by a young PhD student who was studying rocks in the Staffin area in the northeast of Skye.
I actually put my hand on something quite lumpy on the rock, and I didn't really think very much of it until I looked down and I could see this kind of dome shape, and I thought, oh, well, that's interesting, what's that? And then immediately I could see there were 3 toes, I could see the 3 toes of the dinosaur print, so I knew immediately what it was.
The dinosaur footprints have helped increase tourism in the area. One local cafe owner says it's given businesses like his a welcome financial boost.
Our cafe is situated in an area of Skye where there's a lot of people passing through, but the dinosaur footprints in particular are something that draws people to Staffin. There is basically never a day goes past in our cafe without people asking about them.
Many fossils discovered on Skye have stayed on the island, and even today, new discoveries are continuing to be made. Recently, more interest has arisen following confirmation of a new species of a flying reptile known as a pterosaur.
I would have never have guessed, 40 years ago, that people would find, almost, semi-complete skeletons of pterosaurs. Really very exciting indeed.
Ailey Davis reporting Scotland Sky.
Well, it looks lovely on Sky. Let's get the weather for the rest of us now with Chris. Good evening.
Hi, Laura. Thanks very much indeed. A number of blustery showers around today. A few rainbows at times as well. Bit of sunshine as well. Thank you very much indeed. Good evening to you. Best of the sunshine today was across many central and eastern parts of the country. Those showers focused in the west. But over the last few hours, they have been making inroads further east. You can see on the radar picture from the last few hours, showers merging to longer spells of rain, wintry across the hills and high ground. That's the last few hours. This is the next few hours. You can see a rash of showers across the country, fairly brisk winds, still wintry across the hills and high ground. But overnight, the showers will ease off a touch, and with falling temperatures, the risk of some icy patches on untreated roads and surfaces. Temperatures there in town, colder in the countryside. So to tomorrow, and it's a day of weather very similar to today for many parts of the country. Showers in the west and northwest, many central and eastern areas dry with some sunshine, but just notice to the south, thickening cloud and outbreaks of rain through parts of South Ayrshire in towards Dumfries and Galloway, into the borders as well. That will work its way northwards. But for many central parts, it's dry with some sunshine. Same too across parts of Grampian. But you can see showers there through Argyll, pushing in towards Highland Perthshire, and once again around parts of Caithness, Sutherland, Orkney and Shetland with a brisk wind, making them somewhat blustery at times. Tomorrow evening, that cloud and rain in the south gives us a north-south split. So where it's clear, it's cold. You can see the blues on the chart there, -2. This is tomorrow night, Inverness, -3 Aberdeen, where we have the cloud, not quite as chilly. So that takes us to midweek, Wednesday. We've still got that weather front sort of straddling the country, so it's a rather cloudy and wet day for many central and southern parts of the country. And it's not really going very far, very fast at all. So the cloud and rain will set in and stick with us. If you're to the north of it, something a little bit drier, a bit brighter as well, certainly through parts of Caithness and Sutherland in towards Lewis and Harris. A few showers to the northern Isles, but elsewhere you can see cloudy and wet. Light winds and temperatures around about 7 to 9 Celsius. That all part of this system, which is continuing to track its way eastwards through the end of the week. So for Thursday and Friday, remaining unsettled, cloudy with outbreaks of rain at times. That's the forecast for now.
Chris, thank you so much. And I'll be here with your late news around 10:30 tonight. I hope you can join us then. From everyone on the team, enjoy your evening. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.